Salutations from space and aloha from Earth, friends. Gemini Brett here. Kind of tired, Gemini Brett. Wearing a bunch of clothes still because I was outside in the night. Last night I woke up early and I've been in the process of recording a class with my first teacher, Daniel Jamario, for his Turning of the Ages Mystery School, one of their criterium classes for certifications, which is a cosmology navigating the night sky class. And not sure when that's going to come out. I should call it a course. It's many classes, and we're doing well. We're just kind of recording a few nights a week and going through the material. But I'm also spending a lot of time outside with the camera, kind of helping people see the stars away from the softwares like Stellarium, which is a great gift that I use often to teach how the sky works. But it's nice, of course, to be outside under the stars together, right? To transmit that information as it's being received, and to receive the information as it's being transmitted by my fellows when we share the temple of the sky together. But when that's not happening, as it is in the case of video course, then I feel the next best thing is for me to get out there with my camera where I can point things out, right? So, by the way, just because I will be going live every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific time doesn't mean that there won't be some pop-ups like this as well. So, hello, hope you're doing well. I just wanted to share a few experiences of the temple last night. If you watched my live stream yesterday, by the way, you'll know that it was incomplete. I had hoped actually to get to, in my exploration of the 36 and the 24, some of the history or herstory or kind of beginnings of timekeeping, working with the stars at night, and the idea of the decans from Kemet, the land we now call Egypt, which were 36, but there was a system of 24 hours, and the confusion of that. And really, it demands some work outside. So because I will be on a plane Wednesday next, I think instead of finishing that stream next week, I will save it for a later date. And next week, I think I will share with you, not at Instagram or Facebook, but on my YouTube page, because I can pre-schedule it there. Maybe I can do that at all places. If I can, I'll try it out. But a video that I'm making for this cosmology course, sharing just practices of mine for opening the temple of the night sky, which I call connections, directions, reception, reflection. And so I'll share some video I recorded this late night, early morning about that. But I want to share right now the morning star happening, and I'll put some photos up on the Instagram and the Facebook pages so you can zoom in and share them around if you'd like. But I thought I'd go live here and share some experience. So let me get these images on the screen for y'all. And by the way, if you're watching at Instagram, the screen's going to be this small. So head over to my YouTube page, geminibrett.com/YouTube will take you right there if you want to see these with greater detail. All right, we do something like this and like this, and like this and like this and like this. And hopefully you can all see this on your screen. On the right, by the way, not only the School of Earth Astrology logo, but that's Venus just below. This was Venus returning as a evening star after she had disappeared for some months. It was May, a couple of years back. And as I was worshiping Venus, this owl came in to, I believe, do the same. He turned around and looked at me and was like, "Oh, you're into this too?" In which I replied, "Yes, can I take a photo, please?" And I think I heard okay. Anyway, what did I hear this morning? Well, if you look at the chart over here on the left, this is for 6 a.m. It's cast for Richmond, California. It's actually in a town nearby called El Sobrante. And you can see the moon between Venus and Mars. But the chart can be deceiving because the chart only shows us zodiac degrees, right? The planet's projections to the path of the sun. And truthfully, Mars rose first, as the chart suggests, but then it was Venus and then it was Moon, because Moon right now is significantly south of the ecliptic plane of the path of the sun. And in Northern Hemisphere experience, planets south of the ecliptic, like the ecliptic's pretty close to where Venus is right now, the heart of the zodiac, and then the moon is way down here. So the northern hemisphere experience, southern latitude planets will rise much later than the degree of the zodiac they project you. Like our chart is showing the moon up here very close to Venus, but she was actually rather far away when we consider not only longitude, which is zodiac degree along the ecliptic, but also celestial latitude, distance north, or in this case, south of the ecliptic, you see. So this was maybe when that chart was cast for, maybe 6 a.m. And I'm going to come back to this image, but let's start at the beginning. In this one, you can actually see Mars up here in the upper right corner. And then Venus had recently risen. I knew Mars had risen for some time, and I just couldn't find Mars. I mean, it's a reminder that it's very difficult to work the horizons after sunset in the west, where there's the beams of the sun following the light into the houses below, or when you work the east at sunrise. Before sunrise, the dawn light really kind of takes the stars from your view. I mean, well before the sun rises, the beams of the sunrise. And especially here in the northern hemisphere, when Pisces is rising, or Aries, they are, to use the traditional terms, the most crooked signs, which has nothing to do with them being corrupt or something like that. In the northern hemisphere view, Virgo and Libra rise the most straight like this. Pisces and Aries rise the most crooked like this, or we call it like obliquity to the horizon, or whatever. All right, angle of ascent. There's many terms. But like say there was a planet like at the tip of my middle finger here, while the sun is down at the palm. Well, if they're in a straight sign, then the planet's going to rise well before the sun does. And those straight signs are the signs of long ascension. But if it's in a crooked sign, even though the planet's the same distance from the sun, these signs of short ascension, because they rise kind of diagonally like this, won't offer much time for that planet to be above the horizon before the sun rises, you see. And this is kind of the case right now with Venus and Mars in tropical Aquarius. So I'm seeing them just as early degrees of tropical Pisces rise, with the sun in Pisces about to follow. All right. Anyway, it was a beautiful experience out there. I always say this, and I was actually just kind of recording a transmission about this of, we get out to the temple of the sky. We might be really excited to be with Mars or Venus or Jupiter, Antares, stars, the Milky Way, if you're in a dark sky space. With all these beautiful planets in our solar system and the faraway stars, it's important to remember the most important planet, which is just right beneath your feet, and to make sure we connect in as earthlings, So I was feeling a little bit disgruntled, I guess. That's a little bit of an extreme word, because I had already been out in the sky and doing all these wonderful things, and some of which I'll share in a video on my pages here on Wednesday coming, March 13th, 2024 at 11:11 a.m. Pacific. So be there. But anyway, I was feeling something. I couldn't find Mars at all. I knew it was above the horizon. Venus hadn't risen yet. And you'll see this in a video on Wednesday. Suddenly I saw a deer on the hill. And deer are really important for me. I mean, for all of us, they remind us to come back to the woods, to come back to nature, But in many of the Mesoamerican calendrical systems, like the Mayan sacred count that some call the Solkin. My nawal or my day sign is deer. I'm 3 deer, 3 manik or 3 kesh. And so I often see 3 deer. And this time I just saw 1. And it was cool because I zoomed in with the camera, and then I was just zoomed in enough that when I panned to the right, I could finally see Mars. So the deer kind of helped me ground, helped me connect to the earth. It was like eating grass, and then it looked up and it looked in the direction of Mars. So I panned over and finally had Mars in the screen. And shortly after, Venus rose. So I caught a lot of that actually on video. Some of the earlier photos here just didn't look that great. We'll see how the videos turn out. But it's pretty cool, like, to see how quickly Venus rose, because these late degrees of tropical Aquarius in the northern hemisphere skies, they rise very quickly. It's a sign of fast ascension. And we're seeing late degree Venus, late degree Aquarius, because early degrees of Pisces rise. And again, Pisces, along with Aries in the northern hemisphere, the fastest rising sign. So you could really just see that Venus just kind of leapt out of this hill, mountain. Let me get back to that. So Venus and Mars, this will be the only shot where you get to see Mars, who's in the upper right here. Because by the time the moon rose, the sky was just too bright to see Mars at all. So we'll move here, and then here's Venus along with me watching this crescent moon rise. This is a semi-septile moon, a 14th of the zodiac, which is like 25.7 degrees. I think the moon here was 25.5 degrees. This Aquarius moon, 25.5 degrees away from the Pisces sun, whose light she was reflecting to my earthly eyes at the time of this rise. It's an elder moon, And I don't have the time right now to dive into why, in the Turning of the Ages Mystery School or Shamanic Astrology Paradigm tradition, this particular Moon-Venus morning star conjunction is called the root chakra gate of Inanna's descent into the underworld. But this is why I was there, to work and to connect with these goddesses. And beautifully for me, just earlier, I was watching Antares culminate. Antares was setting when I was born, so I see it as an indicator of my 7th house and kind of relationship work, So I was kind of out there doing this thing. Now, a beautiful thing that actually I didn't see at the time of this photograph, saw it only when I was editing. But if you look down beneath Venus on the horizon, pretty close to my logo down there in the lower left, see the cow? And I love that because, the crescent moon like this often reminds me of Hathor, who, translates to the house of Heru, the house of Horus, the house of the sun. So with the sun rising here in these beautiful images of these great goddesses, moon and Venus. Aquarius or not, I had a very Tauresian moment here in the rolling hills with the crescent moon rising as the cows grazed. And that felt right. All right, let's move forward. Pretty similar image, a little bit later in time. No, actually, that one was earlier, right? Look at where the moon is here. So it looks like we're retrograding. We're going back to an earlier time. But with the Photoshops, I brought out some more light, so you get to see a little bit more of the roll of the hills, the moon a little bit lower. All right. Just to show this moon, the moon is 4.6% illuminated, like pretty sliver crescent. And with her southern latitudes I was describing before, and in a crooked sign as I was describing before, I didn't know if I would get a view of moon this morning. I was very, of course, happy to. I smiled a little bit bigger than she was smiling when I saw her rise. A little bit more light now. You can see that the moon's climbed some and left the horizon. And I really wanted to catch this fog down in that hill. Yeah, we'll see some more of that. Zooming out now on the left, this is Mount Diablo, white man's name. I would love to actually learn the sacred and the old name, the original names for that grandfather mountain. Here in where I live, I can see Mount Tamalpais, which is over in Marin to the west. And then when we look east, I can't see from my house, but if I climb up the hill, we see Mount Diablo, which these are the two kind of greatest peaks here in the Bay Area of California. So I'm really not a fan of the Diablo name, but in a way, I let him kind of stand in for Mars, who again I was not able to see because it was too bright at this point. I'm wondering if those two little bumps on that hill are those cows we were looking at before. I don't think so. I think those are trees. All right, so one more of these. I think the best photograph. I mean, this thanks to a camera whose lens and sensor taken a good amount of light, and thanks to some post-production as well, where I can, mix the highlights and the shadows and up the exposure and bring out a little bit of the color and these things, in the Photoshop world of our day and age, which just feels very Aquarian. But hopefully, as you experience what I did, an Aquarian way to worship the earth. All right, one more shot here, just close up, because I love there was so much space between this particular Moon Venus conjunction this morning, and this video really felt like that. I'm really loving the blue, white, and red of the whole thing as well. But I just feel like I'm kind of falling into this space. Let me end here. Hopefully all of these images showed up on the screen. Couldn't really see while I was looking around, but I'm seeing some of your comments now, like gorgeous and amazing and absolutely gorgeous and whatnot. So that means we had success. Yes. Somebody says the speed of my audio is making my voice sound very low off and on. Intriguing. There's someone that said rather deep. Well, this is deep stuff, friends. So if the computers need to distort my voice in order to reflect that truth, so be it. Because while there is this beautiful quantity of the heavenly happenings, this measurable side of the craft, this astronomy, of course, there is an immeasurable quality, correspondences, astrology, the rainbow bridge in between. Again, on Wednesday at 11:11 a.m. Pacific, I will be on a plane, but I will pre-schedule a video that I still have yet to edit and mix that will start with some time outside and sharing some encouragements for connection, directions, reception, reflections, in that order of entering the temple of the sky, right? So we can go out in a grounded way. Like before I take videos or photographs, or even if I don't bring the camera, before I'm getting all mathy in the sky, I want to be there. I want to receive and connect as an earthling, right? And celebrate this marriage of heaven and earth, of which we are living vows. And so I'll share a little bit quickly about the practice that I utilize to do this. Later this morning, I recorded just a quick video of the zodiac constellations at this time. The lion was setting in the west. So it went lion, priestess, scales, scorpion, archer, sea goat. I was only able to catch the goat's horns because the rest of his body and that fishy tail were lost in the rising light. And so I was speaking a little bit about, hey, look, it's really difficult to work the horizons. It's an important thing to know, because people will say all these wonderful things about that you do this and this when you go outside. And I'm like, yeah, you've never tried it. Anyway. And I in this video too, I show you how to find the midheaven in space with your face, and also how to find the ascendant, which I do especially at dawn, not by looking towards the eastern horizon, towards what is actually rising or ascending, but working in the south. And so I'll share a bit about that. And then I'll share some videos of Venus rising, just leaping off that hill, and a few things of Moon Venus. I had to stop the videos after some time so I could take those pictures that you saw. along with 30 other ones that you didn't see. It's always like that. What a wonderful time to honor this Aquarius stellium, these morning stars, to live in this technological age. Remember when we had to be really conservative about pushing that camera shutter because you only had so much film, right? Now we can kind of go crazy with it. But it's very important and will become more and more and more and more important in this dawning of the Aquarian age, in this potential technological overthrow of our humanity for us to stay human, for us to stay earthlings. So you're going to hear that from me all the time if you choose to tune in. I appreciate that you do. By the way, I'm teaching a free class tomorrow at 9 a.m. If you're on my mailing list, you'll be receiving an email about that soon with the link to join. But let me give it to you now as well. It is geminibrett.com/class. Just like that. That link will take you to a Zoom registration page where you can register for free. Tomorrow I will be inspired by the chart of Frank Herbert, who I've been like way into Dune recently. And so last week I spoke, after going void for a long time, I finally got to the topic, which was the void of course moon, and how this was calculated in different ways back in the day than it is now. And by the way, you can see that class if you'd like on my YouTube page. So geminibrett.com/YouTube will take you there, and you can see the void of course moon in translation of light transmission from last Saturn's day. This Saturn's day, tomorrow, March 9th, 2024 at 9 a.m. Pacific. I'm going to take that to another place of looking at dispositorship and dispositor trees in astrology. Will be a much shorter class tomorrow. We'll do a transmission. We'll follow that with some live chart examples. And then I'll shut down the webinar and open up a Zoom meeting where we can have a community discussion. The first thing will be recorded. I might broadcast it on the YouTube channel again. So if you can't make it live, hopefully it'll be there for your review. The community discussion certainly will not be. I don't record those. I want like safe, sacred space so people can not only open and share their minds, but also open and share their hearts and hopefully feel safe to do so. So I hope to see you tomorrow. If you're free, please join me, 9 a.m. Pacific time. Another place you could go is geminibrett.com/events. Please check it out. There you'll actually find a link to head to the registration for the free Zoom webinar tomorrow, 9 a.m. Pacific time, March 9th, 2024 on dispositorship and dispositor trees. But you'll also find a link that will take you to the community discussion following. Last week, some folks stepped away from the class for a bit, and then they didn't have the link to get to the meeting. So just know that if you come tomorrow, if you want to hang out, maybe if you can't come right at 9 a.m. Pacific and you want to join late, to try the second link for the community discussion. All right. Well, I hope to see you there. I hope to spend some time. Thanks for joining me for a little tour of the morning sky. I hope this Moon, Venus, Mars, and this Moon, Venus conjunction, this root chakra gate will help you as it is intended to look into some of your fears and begin to clear that business away. Speaking of, I will be live at Astrology Hub's space this Moon Day, Monday, March 11th, which is fun. One of the things I'll do there is share why 3 and 11 have a lot to do with the moon and the earth. But I'll be speaking about a wonderful alchemical process for moving through fears, for turning the old nose into the soil of the new yes. We'll be speaking about destruction work and the compost board. So I know I'm meeting up with them at 2:30 p.m. Pacific time on Monday, Moon Day, March 11th, 2024. I'm not sure when it will go live. I'll try to kind of rebroadcast it to my space. I don't know. I'll share it here later. But yeah, just know at the wonderful place called Astrology Hub, I'll be live with Amanda Pua Walsh on this Moon Day, Monday, March 11th. All right. Well, maybe I'll see you tomorrow. Free class tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific. That's Saturn's Day, March 9th, 2024 on Dispositor Trees. Head over to GeminiBrett.com/events and you can get those links and many more, including a live event that's coming up in Sacramento during the penumbral lunar eclipse, where I'll be teaching a 3-hour eclipse and eclipse series workshops. And then doing a night sky training after a potluck dinner. So if you're in Northern California up here close by, come on out and hang out in person. Let's be with the stars together. And I'd love to transmit the eclipse wonder and wisdom. I will be doing an eclipse online course leading up to the total solar eclipse on April 8th. So April 6th and 7th, we'll meet probably for 3 to 4 hours each day. And I'll transmit some of those great mysteries and have a little bit more time to do so. There's not yet a link for that up at GeminiBrett.com/events, but there will be sometime soon. All right. Thanks for spending time with me, y'all. Is it time for a nap? No. It's time for a student. Time to get to work. So may this Aquarius triple conjunction give me enough energy, and I'm sure it will. See you in space, friends.